Okay. So, thank you everyone for all of your amazing questions.
Yeah, that's nuts.
This suggests that we might need to do this again because there are quite a lot of questions, way more than we expected and allotted time for. So what we're going to do, I think for fairness, is I'm just going to shuffle them and pick them at random. And if they're massive questions, then I guess we'll just sort of answer a bit and be like, cool, this is something we could maybe discuss further in a different event or something. And then ones that could be answered quickly, maybe just one of us just answer.
Cool.
Hopefully we won't all speak for every single question.
It's like speed dating. I've never been speed dating, but I'm going to be as quick as I can, so let's do this.
Yeah. So, okay, right.
Come on.
Okay, yeah, sorry. Okay, quick fire one for Joe. Oh, sorry, we've got Joe on stage. Round of applause for Joe.
I have changed.
What is your favourite and least favourite part of the process? Did you actually work on this job, Joe?
No, fully. I didn't do any of this. I was on holiday.
Okay, Ollie, what was your favourite and least favourite part of this particular job? Go.
Oh my god. I think least favourite was navigating the visual changes. So when you've committed to a lot of the, like I was saying, trying to get everything nicely synced up with a visual and picking your snares and your kicks and what beats and stuff you're going to go onto, and then stuff changes. It's really irritating. It was just so annoying because you kind of have to go through that replanning stage again.
And favourite?
Favourite? It's just really fun making a sort of jungle style track. I think it was it was wonderful.
Okay, great.
Really fun.
Okay. Shuffle. How did you find clients when starting? Important question. I can answer that. We essentially pulled everything we'd ever done. So we started 4 people. We're now a team of 7? 6. Sorry. We're now a team of 6. We started just 4 of us, and we essentially had all done freebie projects solo. Joe had done a short film for a friend. Someone had done a music video for me, and we pretended that I'd done music for the video. Ollie I can't remember we'd all done something, and we just put it on one website and pretended it was a company. And in this presentation, in fact, if you were to skip, you could press escape, skip all the way to the bottom of the presentation. And when you get this presentation, you go up a few, you will receive our first 3 show reels and how they developed and how we used to lay out our work from 2015, 16, 17. And the next slide over, you'll also get a link, which when it works, if you click that link, Ollie, you will actually get a real-life example of how our very first website worked, and an example, not the best example, but an example of how one could lay out their work. And when you look at this, you will see, this is a video of me using it, you can't do this clicking yourself. What you'll see in our very, very first show reel is that most of it is not client work. It's just music to some sort of visual. And it's just put in an order and named with what we did on it and pretending it's a company. One day it became a company. So that's how we got started. Sorry, slightly long answer to that. Okay, next question. At random. Could you tell me more about the distribution of roles in the team, areas of responsibility? Is it a strict hierarchy between you and a system, or do you do it more naturally?
I'll go.
Yeah,
it's quite strict. We are extremely ruthless with each other's time. No, we kind of are actually quite strict with things because we found we had to be, because for a long time I think Sam mentioned this earlier, we were kind of all doing a bit of everything. And whilst that has its benefits because you get, maybe my input on a bit of music and Ollie's and then Sam's in a very hands-on way, and that can be really beneficial. That can slow a process down massively as well, particularly if you're in a tight deadline situation. And one interesting thing to note maybe on that is Ollie, you know Ollie quite well, he has probably the most split role of us at the moment, and he does a lot of music, he does a lot of sound and mixing, but he also spends probably the most time talking to Sam about responding to clients on quotes and things like that. So Ollie has a big pull on his time, which when you're in a small team is quite difficult. So we try and be quite strict.
Yeah. And the change from 10 years ago of 4 of us doing a bit of everything to now 6 of us. So we have Sam and Angela head up production and they speak to clients. Give us a wave, Angela.
Angela.
A round of applause for Angela. They head up production and they speak to clients and they do schedules and budgeting and where are we going, creative direction and stuff like that. Ollie, Joe and Louis. Where's Louis? Raise your hand, Louis. Round of applause for Louis. I did offer him to come up and join us on stage. Just if you wonder, like, why it's just us. There is no pressure in this company to do stuff, and then I sort of float somewhere in the middle, helping make sure that the company stays afloat, not necessarily financially, but emotionally, and organise things like this event or making sure that we're all talking to each other. We have group therapy, by the way, which is part of my role, not as the therapist, but to organise that, to make sure that, our friendship that started at university stays together as we grow a company, because it is quite stressful running a company with your friends. And we probably wouldn't be doing this 10 years later in this building if it wasn't for stuff like that. So that's kind of how we split our things. Right, we're going to move
Big
on.
up Theo.
Nice one.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Theo.
You're welcome. Big up Sarah, our therapist. Maybe my tastes are too generic, but I loved your demos. What do you do with all the ideas that don't get used? Is an SLT album on the way?
Oh. Well, yeah, I think Sam kind of touched on it earlier, didn't he? Because, we just try and keep everything and sort of have like a database of it. Now, I would say...
Could you give an example of the folders that not necessarily the B-sides, but the genre folders?
Yeah, I can actually, yeah. So all of our stuff is stored on a Dropbox, by the way. Music library. Yeah, so we have everything in either genres or moods. So, acoustic, folk, ambient, dance, electronic, da-da-da. And just loads and loads of stuff.
And you'll notice that each file name starts with a number, and that refers to what number job it was, so that we can look back and find stuff easily and be like, oh yeah, what job was it for, like, Specsavers? Oh, it was like number 12, I think. Like, go to number 12. There's your Logic project. Right, dig that out.
Yeah.
Organising your folders, very important. We have very strict folder hierarchy and folder template situations that we follow meticulously.
Yeah. Definitely, but it's really useful for exactly the same reason with a nothing job. I could just we've got a piano folder, perfect. That's exactly where I went and just like listen to a couple of bits, and it's a bit of music in there, which I don't go and listen to this library for fun. Like this is, do you?
Just to be clear, though, we do all make music for fun as well. Like this is a job, and you're making music for a job. But we make music for a job because we like to make music. And ultimately, what making music for a job allows, other than an income, is that you then are learning about making music. So then, when you do go to make music in your spare time, you've been picking up loads of tricks and trades. Or maybe you've bought some stuff because you needed it for a job, and great, now I've got this plugin, or whatever. And we didn't start with loads of gear and equipment or whatever. We just started with Logic and the plugins that come with it, and just sort of build from there. Like we did hundreds of jobs that before dropping any money on anything vaguely fancy. So that's also important to note. Yeah, cool. Next one.
Yes. Yeah, next one. I think that's answered that, hasn't it?
Yeah. Okay, next.
We have a library of stuff. It's well organised. You should do the same.
I'm trying to be really... how do you set boundaries with clients? And there's a +1 next to this.
Yeah.
That's Sam and Angela's job. Angela, would you like to answer that question? No. Okay.
I've heard Sam on the phone be very courteous and choose his words very wisely. Plan before he has a phone call. I think a lot of it comes down to getting the group's feeling on a situation. What do we all feel like we are willing to still contribute to something? if a job is getting a little bit ridiculous in terms of, I don't know, deadline or something, and then just being honest with people has gone a long way, I think, as well. And clients have responded very well, I would say, generally, to us being honest and being like, we don't have time for that, we can do this, or can we push it to this day? It sounds very simple, but planning and honesty, talking to ourselves, difficult when you're not part of the team.
Yes, not over-promising, I guess. It is also important to note that we have to step back sometimes, because we are speaking from a place of doing this for 10 years and having some sort of like element of like name behind us in terms of like clients might have heard of us from someone before they come to us, right? When we were starting out, there were barely any boundaries. You know what I mean? Like it is hard to jump to straight to boundaries, because it's like we just need the work. Like the very first job we ever did, Parkour Ride, I cancelled a festival to go to that, because it was like our first cool job, and it was like 150 quid, and I really wanted to go to that festival, and like I don't regret cancelling it, but it was the first commission that we'd had that was like actually fun, and we're like, this long term, this is going to be quite useful. And it's like, okay, you make those decisions. You've got to figure out whether something is worth it for you, kind of emotionally, financially, client wise. Ollie, could you show triangle 1, please? Not forgetting that you will again receive all of this in your here, triangle 1. This we live by this. This was drawn in 2014. Ideally, to say yes to a job, one of these things needs to exist. It needs to be a good client, it needs to be good for your portfolio, or it needs to be good money. If it's none of those things, what are you doing? Best job in the world is 3 of those things. I'd say that nothing job is close to 3, being 3, right? Not far off. It's like coolish client, headphones, music. We like music. It's a great tune. They didn't massively water it down, and we got paid okay. Great. So that's that. Okay, play Triangle 2 or show Triangle 2 while we're there. I can't remember what it is. What is Triangle 2?
It did.
Oh yeah, and this is more a state of mind, but like it's not possible to do all of those 3 things for a client, and that's just something to bear in mind when you talk to clients and when they ask for the moon on a stick. You need to be honest about what can be delivered in a time. Joe, sorry, you were going to say something? No. Okay, we're going to move on. Okay, thank you all for your questions. They're great. How did SOT start? We kind of covered that one, but a little bit. But growing it and getting clients and building reputation is a. Oh yeah, well here's the first. Okay, while we're here, well done, Ollie. First bedrooms. This is Sam's bedroom, I believe. Second picture. Is that your bedroom, Joe, with the on the left?
Oh, I do. Well,
that was my landing.
That was your landing.
That was my vocal booth. That is a dressing gown. Hung from a cupboard over a pull-up bar, and yeah.
So this is proof that you don't need loads of stuff to do it. This is far right is a bedroom that me and Ollie shared 10 years ago for quite a while, and that is where we did our first job. Where you can see 2 computers in my bedroom. The middle picture is key actually to answering this question: process of getting clients and building a reputation. So in the early days, we would do a lot of cold calling. And not just like messaging people and be like, do you need some music? We'll be like, do you want a meeting? And we'll come to you and we'll bring food. So you can see there we've got pizza. And we take speakers with, because most offices have crappy speakers and you don't want to like play your music for that. So we just try and like wangle these meetings, and we take like donuts sometimes and pizza other times, and you know the word gets around, donuts, and then loads of people turn up, and then we do a presentation a bit like this, and then play some work, and by that point everyone's feeling a bit relaxed, and then you kind of chat and they're like, human, you're human, I'm human, let's do some work together. Obviously slightly glossing over like the email part of that, but the reality of that, well, you have a document I know from a very long time ago, Ollie, not here, that explains, like, that's a numbers game. You know, we have spreadsheets upon spreadsheets with thousands of client contacts that we've like just researched through like Google and LinkedIn, and we've gone through and be like, right, where are they based? Gone through the entire team page on the website. Do we happen to know anyone there? Is there like a runner who works there that one of us, you know, grew up with or something? Like, go through, email them all, and out of, you know, maybe 100 emails, maybe 50 will get back to you, and maybe 25 of those will be like positive, and then maybe half of those would actually want to meet you. And you have to just hit, in that example, early days, we didn't have much to show for it. It's just like not being afraid to get knocked back and just keep going. And just to be clear, we didn't just start this and it was just a full-time job straight away. The first 4 years, I think we all had other jobs. 3 years?
First two, but yeah.
First two. Joe was teaching piano. Ollie was being a runner at a production company in Soho and taking client calls on his lunch break. Sam was working in a music shop, etc. You get the picture. Anyway, we're going to move on. Right. How do you organise projects if you're frequently changing arrangement / implementation and structure? I try to start as organised as possible, but often it gets messy, especially with multiple versions.
I can just get up a project folder.
Very strict naming policy. Boring, but true. We do everything over Dropbox and share the same Dropbox login, which is probably not the best way to do stuff, but that we just have to take it in turns to be in a project and make sure we don't both go in it and break it.
So just for example, this, I don't know if you can really see this. Is it a bit blurry or is it?
It's a bit blurry. I can read it out. We've got admin, audio, visual, exports internal, exports external. Oh, sorry, Ollie, you can go for it.
Well, I was just going to, because I think this is specifically referencing music.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So we've got our Logic folder here, which is where all the Logic projects will go. So if we take OpenFilm, just one of the, I mean, there's a lot of versions here. There's a 12, 13, 14, 15, depending like how big or complex the project is, we might have a spreadsheet that just references like whereabouts came from, what particular project that was. There's also an archive folder here with a bunch of other projects. That's just like discard, move on. But yeah, we often make copies of Logic projects, like maybe every day or once there's been like a significant change. It's like, okay, this, you know, it's moving on either from feedback or whatever, like make a new version. And it just means you can go back and recall. And yeah, particularly if it already bounced a version, at least you know where that's come from.
And also crucially, because we're switching who's working on a project all the time, it's like if Ollie's going to close something and Joe's going to start on it, then he'll start a new one, you know, quite often, so that we know, okay, like one back, it changed hands.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And it also, like on a boring, within Logic, for example, if you know someone else is going in, or if you know you're going to go back in and forget what you were doing, you can make it all the same color or put it all in a folder, and like, that's really boring, but we do that a lot. It's like, this was my version, I've put it in a folder and collapsed it and muted the lot, and then someone can take what they want from it, and or you can take what you want from it.
Yeah. You know what? That's why I didn't tidy the Nothing project, because no one else worked on it. So I was just like, this is my own mess. I can deal with that.
Yeah.
But genuinely, if you are like collaborating people in the same way that we do, it's really like courteous and nice just to like have a bit of cleanliness, even if it's for your own like sort of sanity. Like, just helps that whole collaboration process.
Yeah, and it also, you'll thank yourself later. The more and more chaotic a project gets, and the more down to the wire it gets, the more useful it will be to look back and know exactly where everything is. And
when you get to having to bounce stems out for a client, if you can't find where something is coming from, rim shot coming from a hidden folder. Yeah.
Okay, do you always deliver audio fully mastered / finished, or does someone else ever master or tweak the audio after?
That is an excellent question. No, we normally do it all ourselves, not because we're like the best at all. It's just speed mainly. And also, you're never quite sure if you're ever going to get the final visual. So can you imagine if you've had to send something off, you get it mastered and whatever, or mixed or something, and you get it back, and then there's a client change? It's like, it'd be so irritating. So yeah, the only time we do outsource stuff like that is if it goes to 5.1 mixing or like Dolby Atmos or something. Like, we can't really do it in-house, so we'll just send it off to someone else. But normally by that point, I think if it's a campaign where it's got like cinema or some kind of surround element, the client's often quite like, you know, there'll be like proper deadlines in place. And you'd hope it wouldn't sort of be at the mercy of like last-minute creative decisions. But yeah, for the time being, we don't send stuff off to get it mixed or mastered elsewhere.
Just one brief, we sort of do that internally, which, again, the benefit of working in a team, if I've been working on something for 3 days and I've kind of gone deaf to it, Ollie swoops in and saves the day. So it does that anyway, even if I'm not deaf to it. But yeah.
Yeah, amazing. How do you approach negotiating contracts or statement of work docs, I think that says? Angela, would you like to? You don't have to. Oh yeah, we can get you a mic.
Thank you very much.
Round of applause for Angela, please.
Yeah.
Thank you, Eunice. Yeah, that's a tricky one actually, because it depends what the deliverables are for clients. So how we quote upon it, if it's TV, cinema, radio, or just a smaller campaign as well. We're a member of PCAM, so we'll do PCAM licensing.
PCAM is the performing production. No, what is it?
Producers
Composers Alliance. Yeah.
That's
Thank you, Ben.
Applied music, right? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
ECAM.
Yeah. So we will base our contracts on a PCAM contract, which will, maybe we'll do another workshop on budgets and how we approach that, more on the admin side of things. But we will have our creative fee, or sometimes it's called a composition fee. And then we will base, depending if it's going to territories, we'll base licensing on percentages of that. But that will also form like a statement of work, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So in short, if it's TV, this will all be included in the PDF. There are questions that you need to ask a client right at the beginning. Is this going to be TV, online only? Is it going to be, if it's TV, is it going to be just UK? Is it going to be North America? Is it going to be the entire world? How long is it going to be for? Do you need it for just 3 months or a year? Or classic one, people say, we want a buyout, which means they want to own everything for eternity, which generally is something you want to say no to. We do, on occasion, break that rule and say yes if the money is good enough, and or, going back to the triangle, if it's like really hitting something that we think, do you know what, they want this forever, they're not going to use it forever. Often clients say they want to buy out and they think they're going to use it forever, but actually they're only going to use it for like a year max. Like if you're doing something from we did a rebrand for Pepsi. Pepsi are going to rebrand again in a few years' time. They're not going to use that same piece of music because they don't want to. So yeah, fine, own it. Like, what do we care? Like, you're not going to do anything with it. Like, realistically, but you've got to weigh up those options, because if that piece of music was really, really important to us in the sense that we thought we could use it or sell it to someone else in the future, then we might say no to that. But really, like that Nothing one, actually good example, it's so cut to the picture, we would be unlikely to give that to anyone else, because like it's niche, it's got all these half bars and this and that and the other. Like, are we going to give that to someone else? Like, probably not.
Yeah, just to sort of add to that finally, like, we do have a lot to thank PCAM for like how we do work out basically our pricing, and without sort of like advertising PCAM too much. They do tiered membership, so there is like a kind of student one or someone like starting out, and it's not that expensive, and I'd really recommend it just for a lot of the like legal advice they have. We use the PCAM contract. And sort of particularly with usage fees, all the different advice and stuff. So yeah, it's we use it like, not most days, but like very frequently. So I'd really recommend, PCAM, like Ivor's Academy, and are there any others that are like specifically to picture? I can't remember, but PCAM are really good. They're small, you can go to their meetings. They often have meetings in SO and stuff. They're really interesting. So
Bless you.
I would really recommend signing up to PCAM.
There is actually, they've got a really good podcast that with, so I think Sam's on one of them, but talking about, statements of work and contracts and pricing. But I think they've got like a few episodes online, so if that might be of use for that sort of stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Amazing. Okay, we've still got loads, so that we can't, I'm afraid, do them all. It's 10 o'clock. Maybe we'll pick 3. How's everyone feeling?
Well, we could always just save them and maybe like answer them.
Yeah, we could add them to the video. We could answer them in our studio. That would be really weird.
I'll put my suit on.
Yeah, the next one. The next event.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah. Okay. I'm going to answer this one because I think it's important. How can I become a sound designer? Currently a novice. Sound design, although there is a lot to it, it's sort of great in that you can kind of get started with anything, right? What we did, and a lot of people that we know, download a video off YouTube or anywhere, animation, film, snippet from a scene. We had to do this as a project at uni. Just remove the audio that's already there and just rescore it or re-sound design it yourself. That is one of the best ways to learn. And also you get a piece of work out of it to show at the end. And there is nothing wrong with showing non-commercial work on a portfolio, right? We have a lot of people who, we sometimes do these one-to-one sessions, which we might, reinstate in the future. But the oftentimes question people come to is like, I don't have any commercial work to show. And it's a tricky thing. It's like, how do you get commercial work without having commercial work? You don't have to have commercial work. You just have to show some good work. And if it's not commercial, i.e. you did it for, a uni project or a friend's short film, or you've just ripped something off the internet and rescored it, that's fine. The most important thing is that you're clear when you show that work that it is a rescore in this example, and that you weren't paid to do it, and that an original exists of this. Even better, if you can do something better than the original, then it's actually better than getting paid to do something. But we've given people work in the past. We're a small team, and so we generally don't have like loads of jobs going. But we did have a freelance position going years ago, and the person that got that role didn't have any commercial work to show, but they had loads of work that they just downloaded. In this case, video games off of YouTube, and they just sound designed it. And that was more impressive than some of the work we saw from people who'd been paid to do it. So that's a really integral thing, and there'll be information in this about ways of laying out your portfolio and things to say and things to not say. And there's plenty of places to find those sorts of sounds as well. freesound.org is amazing. Your own recordings. Whatever.
Yeah, Splice has got really good now as well. With, I know there's other there's Soundly and things like that, but there's so much, sound effects and stuff on there. And it's not just super stylized sound effects. There's footsteps and doors opening, all this kind of stuff. So that's all on there. And obviously you just need to subscribe for a couple of months, and you could probably download tons of stuff that's all really usable. It's all really good.
Yeah.
And just something to add with, if you are wanting to get into sound design, we use Logic primarily for music and a bit of sound design, but if it's working specifically to picture and it's just sound design or just audio post, we'll be using Pro Tools. And I would recommend trying out Pro Tools. It just handles video really well. There's two very distinct sides to Pro Tools. There's the sort of recording side where you have recording studios that will use it, and then you go to any post house, I can almost guarantee there's going to be a copy of Pro Tools somewhere, and most sort of mix engineers and stuff that are specialising in audio post, they'll be using Pro Tools. It's just sort of the most effective like software package we've used that handles video. So yeah, even if it's just like getting into sound design and like matching your footsteps up with like frame by frame and stuff, it's just really useful, and it's a bit easier to do, I would say, in Pro Tools than it is in Logic.
Yeah, and lastly on that, when you get files from editors, so in this example, this job didn't have any sound already in it. There's plenty of jobs that you get where there's an edit and there is sound. And so we'll get a file of what's called an OMF, which will be the audio from the editor. And you will need to then like work with that audio. Like, for example, we mix some podcasts that will get audio from the editor in this OMF file format. And so you need to be able to open that, which Logic can do, but Pro Tools does it better. And then use that audio and then build around it. Or often the audio that comes from an editor, will be like kind of like the demo audio. And your job then is to either replace that or to like bolster it. So kind of working with those formats is really useful to know as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, 2 more, I think. How much will the editors cut back into your music? And I think by cut back, they mean like we give something and then they be like, oh, cool, that's a great beat. I'll edit to that.
I think that doesn't happen a lot, but I suppose, like Ollie said, there will always be some minor random change to something. Often at the end of it where the editor has had to sort of change the length of it slightly to fit their thing, and then kind of just be the ends chopped off not as nicely, or the shot has changed and they've just faded aside. But I think working on shorter form things, that is less of a concern for us potentially. I think you're more likely to be in that situation if you've been working on a really long, a drama or a film or something where you've got loads and loads of cues and they're going into each other. You've planned it all out and that all gets chopped and changed around. But yeah, shorter form, not something we've had happen loads.
Very occasionally we get lucky with being asked to do a job way before the thing is made. And in that case, they will edit to our music. And generally the outcome is much better because it's obviously all like they can hit us easier than we can hit their beats. True. Depends on the editor.
Yeah. I think, on balance, it's often there's not really time, or we'll have the sort of authority to be asking if like things can shift.
Yeah. Okay.
Can I quickly add to that, going back to the last question a bit as well about sound design? A lot of the work we have now has come through working with animators directly. So directors of animations or animation agencies. And like Theo says, we'll often get involved pretty early on in the process. That has more often than not been the case with animations. And you get a sort of, unanimated bunch of grey blobs sort of moving around and you've got to use your imagination a lot. But going back to the sound design question, animations obviously don't have any sound attached. So it's a great place to start because you get, you have to do everything if you want there to be something. But also you get a lot of creative freedom, so you can find out what direction you want to go in.
Yeah, for sure. And we actually, going back to finding work, like using animation and animators as an example, like over COVID, when we, had loads of spare time, we hit up loads of animators that we liked on Instagram. And we just messaged them and be like, hey, we're doing this thing where we make a beat every week out of something random. Would you be up for like responding to it visually? Or like, oh, hey, we love that visual that you've already done, but it doesn't have audio. Do you mind if we, or maybe not even ask them, just do it and then send it to them? And most of the time people are like, great, cool. I just got some free audio on this thing. Animators are constantly putting up personal projects online, like probably more so than any other like medium, because like it can't be brought to life. Like they can bring it to life solely on their own, but they can't then do the thing that actually brings it to life, which is audio. So there's so much stuff up online, just little 3-second loops and interesting things, just like itching to have audio put to it.
I think particularly with Instagram as well, because it just lends itself to that format. It's sort of in the music world, we've got SoundCloud and Bandcamp that's a bit more official to where we put our stuff, but like on Instagram it's sort of more normal to see visual artists like constantly showcasing their work and stuff. So yeah, I think don't even ask, just like grab it off their profile and then just send it to them, and you know, it's hopefully not wasted time because you'll get something out of it, but then maybe it will spark a conversation and then you kind of never know where that leads.
Yeah, and you need to be present on the platforms where the end product lives. Like, we have a SoundCloud account, but that's kind of more for like library cataloging purposes. It's not really the place we showcase our work. Like, we can't just send a SoundCloud link to a client and be like, hey, we're great. Like, no, we need to send them visual. Our clients are visual, so we have to send them visual. Like, if we ever get portfolios sent to us, if someone just sends me like a Bandcamp link, like, that doesn't show me anything of what you can do to visual. Loads of people can write music. Show me that you can write to visual. And that mindset, although it might sound like cutthroat, that is the exact mindset that a client will have if you send them work. Imagine how many people send clients portfolios, demos every single day. If they see a SoundCloud link and they're a video company, they'll probably just ignore it. So that is a sort of cutthroat but important point, I think. Should we do one bonus question?
I was going to say, can we see the final ad again?
We can, yeah, sure. Do you want to see that? Yeah. Does everyone want to see the final ad again? Okay, yeah. Or wait, should we do that after the final question?
Yeah.
Okay, right. Or is there anything from? Yeah, no. Okay, let's just. Right. No, someone else pick actually. but blindly.
We want to watch it again.
What is the nitty-gritty process of winning work from clients? Do you have to do a lot of reaching out, or does the work come to you? Wow, this is an important and big question. Also, could you delve more into the business of demo fees, etc.? Okay, how much time do people feel like that? Yeah, so starting from the beginning, do we do a lot of reaching out? Early days, yes, big time.
Through marketing phases that line up surprisingly with when we do or don't have work quite often, which we are trying to address.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely early days we were doing a lot of reaching out and cold calling and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it's just lucky that we haven't had to have done as much, but sort of in the same breath, the reason it's important to keep doing it is to make sure that we get the jobs that we think we're kind of best at doing and can kind of offer the best service and stuff. So it's being a little bit more like focused on our sort of marketing and reaching out rather than just like trying to get any work that we can.
Yeah.
Also, reaching out to repeat clients has been really important for us, where I think realistically people forget you exist and forget they've worked with you because they're probably working with loads of other people.
Yeah, or the team changes over.
Or yeah, exactly. A lot of people we work with still have moved from company to company, and they've reached out when they've thought of us last minute or whatever it is. So staying front of mind, is that the way I think people say it?
Sending people a reminder. Hey, we did this recent piece of work. We think you might be into it. You know, if you can do it in a non-cheesy way. Early days, like all honesty, thousands of companies a spreadsheet. Do we have a contact? Has someone emailed them? What date? Has it been followed up? A week later. Don't email people on a Friday night, and they're not going to click on it. We used to do all our emails like Monday mornings, 9 a.m. Just like be there. Right, follow it up next Monday, 9 a.m. Hey, just checking if you've seen this thing. Yeah, loads of people ignore it, but we just do that. Set up a template, canned response in Gmail.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to change the name. But crucially, make sure that you do actually know the name of the person and that you get the name of the company right and that you are referencing a piece of work they've done. So it proves not only that you've actually been on their website, but genuinely go and find something that you like on their website so that you're being genuine when you're talking about it. Because then if they come back and be like, oh, hey, thanks, I'm so glad you were into that McDonald's ad and you didn't actually care at all, you won't be able to talk about that. Scroll to the bottom of a company's website. More often than not, they hide at the bottom all of their personal projects, the stuff that didn't make them any money, that's not for a big client, but they love to do. Talk about that. They're more hyped on that. And then they'll be like, oh, thanks. Yeah, like no one ever asks about that. Like, or, you know, whatever. Vimeo staff picks. Go through the Vimeo staff picks. People do passion projects all the time, and it lives Vimeo staff picks. Go through, contact those directors, see what they're doing, all of this sort of thing, like see who they're following, blah, 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 blah. Sorry, blah, blah, it's not very helpful.
What was the rest of the question? Sorry.
Does work come to you? Now, yes-ish.
Yeah.
70%-ish comes to us, maybe.
Like I said before, that is a lot of repeat repeat producers and the like, or directors from companies that have moved around.
Yeah.
These guys are decent. They did this thing that was relevant to this.
And when Joe says decent, that isn't just like we made a good piece of music. That is like we were friendly, we were communicative, we were clear, we were good at taking on feedback, and we didn't say, no, we think your feedback fucking stinks. Like, that's why, well, firstly for us, that's why we have each other, to moan to each other, but that's why you have your friends, other producers. That's also why when people ask, how should I start out? I say, like, join forces. This is a hard job to do on your own, like, in all honesty. We've all tried it in various iterations. It's difficult. And, if someone puts a gun to your head and says, make this amazing beat by Friday, and you haven't managed it, that is tough, like, emotionally. So teaming up, really important. All the people in this room, you potentially met, future collaborators, like, that's really key. None of us would be doing this now if we hadn't have teamed up, 100%. And very quickly, demo fees. So demo fees, very early days, 50 quid.
Yeah.
Sometimes still 150 quid, I think. But we do a lot of pitches still, and they do often have really rubbish demo fees still. I don't know whether there is a point at which that fully changes for musicians. We know that advertising agencies that we work with have massive demo fees. But then the budgets are enormous for them, so it's still a tiny proportion of the time they will realistically put into something. So we've kind of always thought of it as a thanks. It's kind of like you're committing to know that you're going to get something from me. Honestly, we haven't made a big push to get loads and loads of, loads on top of a demo fee we've been offered. It's more been trying to keep on top of the rounds of feedback that you get on that demo. So if they keep saying, sorry, not right, and they're still just trying to give you £50, then you can kind of say, any chance for a bit more for this next round?
Yeah.
Being vigilant with that, isn't it? But yeah, if you're talking like exact numbers, anything from 150 to like £1,000 for a demo.
But with the big caveat that like a grand demo would be like for quite a big job.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that we would not have been being offered a grand demo 10 years ago, or even maybe 3 years ago. You know what I mean? For the first, I think all out of our first 50 jobs, loads of those were £50 pitches.
Yeah, yeah.
And something important actually in terms of getting in front of clients, right? It might be difficult to hit up a, say, production agency cold with like, only one project to show or a couple of projects to show, but who you can send like SoundCloud demos and stuff like that to is music sync agencies, because their job is different to a production company. Their job is to basically have a roster of loads of freelance musicians that, they kind of like just get you to do their work for them. They take a big fee and then they pay 50 quid to, we don't know how many people. It could be 10, it could be 100, right? But the good thing about that is you can get real life experience and 50 quid to work on a real project and be on the books of a company, say Massive Music, Big Sync. Who else do we do stuff like that with? Ninja Tune Production Music. All of these ones, they will take demos that aren't to visual, right? And so not only is that a good way to start out, you can hone your craft, practiced, and then also you've got a visual of a real life recent commercial. Maybe you didn't win it. Rescore. Then that's just a thing you can put on your website and just be clear. I didn't do this, but here is my submission for it. If it's better than the thing that actually went out, great. And don't forget, you can spend more time on that than what the deadline was, because it's just going on your website, and that actually stands for whether it was your job or not. Like, make it better after it went out on TV, and that will just stand you in good stead online. Sorry, you were going to say something, Joe? No, I saw you lean in. Okay. I feel like I talked a lot there. I think that might be us for a day. These guys have been working since 8 a.m. I've been working since 10 a.m. Okay, yeah. So we're gonna play.
I'm gonna play the bit of work, but I just wanted to answer a question which Hillary asked earlier, and I thought it'd be really useful just to relay that information. It won't take me a second, I promise. But she was like, "How do you have so many tracks and your computer isn't absolutely freaking out?"
Good question.
Like, why are you not using buses? Da 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 da. And I think I've closed the project now. Sorry, but my answer to that question, no, it's still open. Okay. A lot of these things barely have any processing on, and that is because I've actually done the processing. I've just bounced it in place, and I quite like that as a way of working. You like commit your effects in, and then it's just like all your information is in that bit of audio, and that's it. You can see it on your timeline. What do we call it? A range window. Yeah. But yeah, so if you go through a lot of these, I mean, yeah, I don't know if you can see it switching, but there's a lot of like unused stuff, or it's just like it's mostly OpenWord, yeah, or just like channel EQs and stuff. So yeah, that's why like there are like over 200 tracks. It's a lot of like bounced audio, and I just think that's a useful thing to share because she was like, oh, okay, it's maybe just a different way of working. Yeah. So
Would you say the processing on like an earlier version of the save? Would you like save as and then bounce out?
Yeah.
So you got it somewhere if you needed to tweak or.
Yeah. It's likely like if I was going to do like any sort of large commitment or something, I would hope it was on a previous version. Yeah. No, good question for sure.
So then, before we play it one more time, which I appreciate that people enjoyed it enough to listen one more time. I first want to say not only thanks for coming, but just remember if you can be bothered, there are some feedback forms to fill out on paper. You can just leave them anywhere in the room. There is also a QR code at the back that you could scan to fill it in online if you would prefer to do that. You can also come to chat to us, although you just be patient with how much brain space we have left at the end of today. We have plans to do this event again. I don't know how regularly, and I don't know whether that will be us specifically. We have loads of friends who also work in the industry and other adjacent industries, such as you might receive a mixing workshop with Grace Banks, for example, if we can twist her arm. So please, write down in your feedback form, what do you want to learn more of? Not just stuff in this world and what we didn't cover, but I want to learn about mastering. I want to learn about writing for feature films. I want to learn what does a music editor do? I want to and we will bring those guests in and do that sort of thing. So yeah, keep an eye on @club.whip for that sort of thing. We've been at sounds.like.these. This has been Oliver and Joe and Theo. Thank you very much for coming one more time.